Cool. So in this video, I kind of wanted to go over sort of like all this information, the tactics, and having more information um, versus like what I think the real switch is like your identity. And so, got my handy dandy uh, iPad here, and so basically kind of what I'm and this is an interesting concept because I've been sort of working on this for like over 10 years trying to dial it in. And so you can keep learning like all the tactics, but nothing's actually going to like come through for you because it's not about the tactics. It's not about, more information. It's entirely about your identity and who you are currently, and then who you are like working to become, right? And so the person who I was on tugboats so I started back in 2007 when I was like 21 or something like that. So I'm 39 today. So I've been around a little bit, and and I've done that for 10 years. And there was some moments where I would leave the tugboats and try something different, and nothing stuck. And that's part of the identity thing that I'm talking about today. And so then I would have to go back. I'd lose all my money, go back to the tugboats, and essentially just kind of do it all over again. But that person, Sean 1.0, could not have been a marketing manager or anything like that for like who I am today. Those are two different people, right? And so that's sort of the concept here, is that in order to really achieve anything, is you have to become the person that is achieving it at the end of the day. And the problem with that is that most people are stuck in this cycle. They consume different content. They're learning different strategies and tactics. They're taking courses. They're reading books. And don't get me wrong, all of that stuff is absolutely fantastic. But there comes to a point, because I'm like king course taker. You can ask some of my friends. Like, I'm all about courses. Don't get me wrong, but there comes a point to where it's like just information overload, and then you're not actually doing anything. And the reason why you're not doing anything is because it feels off. There is a disconnect because you aren't you are your current self, and in order to achieve those things, you have to become that person that is achieving those things, right? And so just a second ago, when I was saying that I would leave the boats and I would try and go do something different, I still had this mindset like, oh, I'm just this boat person, a boat worker, or whatever. We had a nickname. We called ourselves like boat trash. Like, that's just kind of how we referred ourselves to, which is kind of crazy, right? So the problem is identity, and you're essentially trying to build something that doesn't match who you are, right? And so, as I said, a little bit about my journey, 10 years on the boats, could have never been the person I am today. I actually had to switch over into this person, and it's taken a long time for me to sort of get enough clarity to understand what it is that I need to do what I'm doing today. At first, like I kind of just looked around. There was like some sort of intuition in my gut that I was looking around in my environment when I was working on tugboats, and I saw like different guys just doing different things. They just didn't have the lifestyle, or like they didn't carry themselves very well. Most of them are overweight. They just really do very like not so great things, sort of toxic. They're just, social media all the time, watching movies. Don't get me wrong, watching movies is cool. I like watching movies, but, there's like more to be done when it comes to life, right? And watching movies isn't everything. And so I slowly started, you know, kind of like trying to educate myself, but I didn't really know what I was like. I didn't really know what I was trying to do, but I knew I wanted something different from what those guys were doing because in one of my other videos, like the first video, I essentially asked a few guys like if they started all over, you know, what would they do? And they said electrician, you know, they would say a police officer, they would say everything except doing what they're doing right now, which is being on the tugboat. And not one of them said that they would like, oh yeah, I would just keep doing this, or I would do this again. Not one of them said that. And so that's what really kind of like brought brought it all to my attention. It's like, wow, this guy's 10 years older than me, 20 years older than me. I don't want to do this when I'm like his age, right? And so I had to change. And so I basically just, funny enough, I found Ty Lopez here in my garage. I found that video, or it found me, and basically everybody else in this in the world. And the interesting part was is a lot of people, in my opinion, sort of like missed the overall what is it called? The overall message. And most people thought it was about Lamborghinis. And sure, he did have a Lamborghini, and he had all these books. For me, it wasn't about the actual Lamborghini car itself. The Lamborghini was a metaphor. When at first I did think it was a Lamborghini, but at the same time I was just like, no, this is a metaphor that if you want to like have the life that you want, you have to educate yourself. And so that was the shift that happened. That's what Ty Lopez, really kind of changed it. And then it kind of spiraled into other people, Sam Ovens and all these other cool guys that I've been listening to for several years. And so I sort of started like changing the way I was thinking. I, you know, told myself, yeah, like I can learn these things. I can figure things out. I can read books, and I'm a person who enjoys learning. Like I, you know, would tell myself I am a reader, you know, and then I would just like sort of kind of convince myself that I just started reading because I'm a reader, and so I wanted to uphold that sort of that identity about myself. I started teaching myself marketing and that I didn't need any credentials because, to remind you, I don't have a degree, didn't finish high school, and there was a ton of limiting beliefs, you know, just like too many. And um, I was able to sort of make that transition and sort of become the person who I am today and do what I'm doing now. But I'm also at the same time becoming my next self, Sean 2.0. And so at the end of the day, for me, it's really you're changing your frequency or your state of consciousness, or like for me, like to conceptualize that, I like to sort of kind of think about it as as your identity, but it's like all those are kind of the same, maybe with some slight nuances, but it all starts with your frequency or your changing your identity. And when you do that, you start getting these like the intuition. And what intuition is like an amalgamation of two words, inner tuition. And so what that means is that it's like a guidance or teaching from within. So then you have your new identity or your new frequency. For me, I like to say Sean 2.0. And so with that new sort of identity, you will then change your intuition, your internal learnings, your internal guide will then move into sort of your mental nudges. And mental nudges is there's like everything can be a mental nudge. Me recording this video is a mental nudge, but it is an intuition that I've gotten from my new identity, right? And so then once you have your mental nudges, that creates action. So I'm actually recording this video, and then it's my reality, right? And so that's sort of frequency flow, if you will, or like the just the identity formula, if you will. But that's really the basics, the core element of sort of switching into who you are currently, and the reason why you're doing all these strategies and doing all these tactics and doing everything, but changing into the person that needs to become that person in order to do those things, or in order to do whatever you need to do that you're wanting to do, or to like sort of reach your desired reality, right? Here's what I've learned. You have to become a different person. You 2.0, your name 2.0, you have to become the person before you see it physically. And what that means is that internally, you have to sort of your state of consciousness, you have to sort of become that person before you can actually see the physical world change. You can, and that's basically where a lot of people get tied up with, which is all the action stuff, the tactics and the strategies. You can do that until you're blue in the face, and sure, like you're doing things, but it's not going to be sustainable because you are still acting as your old identity, your old frequency. And so until you actually change into a new frequency, a new identity, that's when things are just going to flow. They're just going to, it's just, that's the best word. The best word to put it is just flow. And everything's going to start kind of, becoming through natural, if that makes sense. And this is why in phase one in my system, it's like starts with the foundation. It's discovering your why, understanding who you are, shifting your beliefs, clarifying your mission, and making your word as law. Like those are just absolutely so important. And like the real big one there, in my opinion, is your word is law. That is just absolutely like a game changer. And so that's basically what I'm doing here, is that I'm utilizing everything that I've learned, my transformation from this like tugboat guy that had so many limiting beliefs, and I am living the life that I want with the freedom that I want, and it's just like growing and getting better as the day goes by. So if you've been learning tactics and strategies and doing courses and just like nothing's working, it's because you have to focus on your identity. That's what we're doing in the unconventional path. And that's what I did to get me here where I'm at today. Got myself off the boats, all those limiting beliefs. And yeah, it's an amazing feeling when you know that you're a hard worker, and then you're ambitious, and you know what you want, but for some reason there's something missing. This is it. This is the missing piece, and it is the identity. And like I said, we're having some fun in the community. Come in there, introduce yourself. I don't know if I probably mentioned it 100 times. It is free. There is no risk. You just come in, hang out, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, it's okay. But I just wanted to sort of offer that. Link is in the description. And so, but yeah, that's it. Have a good one.